So friends, let's see this instant Goan dry bombil or Bombay duck recipe. Now here I've taken about 10 to 12 dried Bombay ducks or bombil. I've just broken off the heads, and using a kitchen scissor, I'm just going to cut off the heads and discard that. Now I've been getting so many requests to show some dried fish recipes and pickle recipes since we're going into the summer and everybody wants to make pickles so we can store them for the monsoons and enjoy them when fish is difficult to get. So after cutting off all the heads of the bombil, this is my grandmother's recipe, my mom's recipe. So I'm going to soak this in water for about 30 minutes. That will make it nice and soft. The Bombay ducks will swell up and become, almost like thrice their size. Set them aside now in a bowl. Now I've taken 10 dried red chilies, 5 cloves of garlic and half an inch of ginger, 1 tablespoon of dhania or coriander seeds, 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds, 10 peppercorns, 1 inch of cinnamon and 5 cloves or lavang. And we have 1/4 cup of vinegar. Now this is a Goan recipe, so this masala is all going to be ground with adding a little bit of salt with vinegar. So no water has to be added to this pickle at all. We're going to grind this to a fine paste, and I'm going to make 2 recipes of this dried bombil. So the first one is a nice crispy fry. Now this recipe goes extremely well with some masala dal, which is my dad's recipe. So this used to be a combination I remember from my childhood. Whenever my dad used to make dried bombil, he used to always make this masala dal, which I'll be putting up shortly. So we're going to fill this bombil, stuff it with this masala. This is Achar masala, basically Goan masala. And we're going to seal it well and set them aside. Now, how many of you all like dried fish? Please let me know in the comments. Now I'm just making a little bit because I'm more interested in making the instant pickle. So I'm just making 4 pieces just to give you all an idea that if you want to make this crispy fry bombil, you can go ahead and make it in this way. But I am more fond of the pickle part. I still remember my dad's, especially in the monsoons, he used to make this amazing masala dal, the Goan style, which I'm sure he learned from my grandmom. And this stuffed bombil fry, crispy. It used to almost be like a dark black charred effect, but it used to taste so well. It used to taste so good with with rice and masala dal. So these are all recipes from my childhood. And like I've always been writing to all my viewers and subscribers who have been writing to me, all thanks to my mom. She used to write down all these recipes, and she's left me 3 recipe books full of traditional recipes. I haven't even gone through like 1/4 of the recipes, so there's so much to share. And then some are from my memory of my mom making things, or my grandparents, my grandmom or my dad cooking. I used to watch them, and so those are still fresh in my mind, and that's why I kind of remember and try to put down the recipe and share it with all of you. So in this way, just stuff the bombil, and then all you have to do is just fry them till they're nice and crispy. And now I'm going to show you what I love, which is the instant bombil pickle. Now it's become nice and soft, so we're just going to shred them. Shred them into very fine pieces. Now this pickle is to die for. You guys have to make it. Even if you all don't like dried fish, guys, just try this recipe. It's amazing. And I would really love if you're, and of course you get this fins and everything, just discard that as you keep on cleaning the fish. So you get this lovely shredded bombil which has become nice and soft now because we've soaked them in water. Now I'm going to heat oil in a pan, and this is for the stuffed bombil. I'm going to deep fry them. Actually not deep fry, just shallow fry, but a little more oil than you would use, because we want to make them to the nice crispy consistency. You just keep turning them till they become nice and kurkurit and crispy. You can't deep fry this because I think all the masala will ooze out, but just shallow fry them in a little more oil than needed. And then of course soak them, drain the excess oil. And these are also amazing. They literally have a crunch. Really delicious. Okay, now in the same oil I'm adding this shredded Bombay duck or bombil. So say I've taken about 3 tablespoons of oil. And now I'm going to fry this till it's nice and crispy. So I would love if you all could also share, some recipes. I know everyone wants to keep their family recipes secret and all that stuff. I totally respect that. But if for those of you, okay, now I'm just going to add the ground masala. For those of you who are okay with sharing, just my email address is always there in the description box in the comment section. If you would want to share some particular recipe that you have come up with, or your ancestors have have passed it down to you all, and it's something very special, and if you're okay with sharing it, then please send it to me. I'll definitely give credit to you and say that this recipe is from so and so person. But I would really like to know some very traditional recipes. And by YouTube, many youngsters or many people who want to make those traditional recipes, who remember their nanas making these recipes, but they don't know the recipe, no one has written it down or left it to them, and they're craving to eat that. So you all could be an angel if you all could send me those recipes, and I could put them up and someone could use it. So now I'm just adding half a teaspoon of sugar just to balance out the masala taste and the vinegar taste. And then just mix everything really well. And now you can switch off the heat. And transfer this to a serving bowl, and our delicious bombil pickle is ready. So have this with some lovely dal, rice. It's amazing, and especially rice and sorak. Chow recipe is one of my mom's recipes, and I always refer to her cooking books, and she has such an array of recipes. So today we're going to make this beautiful and delicious prawn bal chow. So let's get started. And at the end of the video, I'm also going to show you how to devein prawns. I've got many requests from the beginners as to Akshata, how do we devein prawns? Can you make a video? So I am going to include that at the end of this video. So let's start with today's lovely bal chow recipe, and it has a few ingredients, guys. So let's go through the ingredients. Now here I have some that prawns that I've deveined, and I've washed them really well. It's very important to clean prawns really well and devein them. So here I have about half a cup of deveined prawns. I have 2 medium onions which I've chopped really fine. These are about 7 Kashmiri red chilies, 2 light green chilies which I've slit and then cut them into half, about 7 to 8 curry leaves. Now curry leaves are optional, but I love the flavor of curry leaves in this bal chow. Half an inch of ginger and 10 cloves of garlic, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 6 teaspoons of vinegar. Now you can use white vinegar, you can use the Goa vinegar.
salt to taste. Here I have 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds and half a teaspoon each of peppercorns and turmeric powder, which is also called haldi. So these are the only ingredients we're going to be requiring. So first I'm going to just take my mixer jar and I'm going to break the red chilies, take off the tip of the red chilies, or the stalk rather, and I'm just going to put the red chilies into my mixer jar. Now, it's also a good thing that you wash your Kashmiri chilies or dried red chilies, wipe them dry, and then add them to the mixer jar. Now, I'm going to add my cumin and peppercorns to the mixer jar. Now, you can add your turmeric powder at this point too, but I don't like to add the turmeric or the haldi powder to my mixer jar because that discolors the lid of the mixer. So I always add the haldi powder or the turmeric at the end after the paste is done. Now I'm going to add my garlic, and I'm just going to chop the ginger up into finer pieces or smaller pieces. That makes it, easy to grind. And then I'm going to add only half the quantity of the vinegar, grind it to a little coarse paste. And once the coarse paste is done, I'm going to add the remaining vinegar and grind it to a very smooth paste. So this is the consistency we're looking for. It's a thick, yet it's a smooth paste. So you see that all the chili flakes and everything is nicely ground. So now at this point, I've transferred it to a small bowl and I'm adding the turmeric powder in now, and I am going to mix the turmeric powder into the paste really well. So this this tip I've carried on from my dad. He used to always tell me never add haldi into your mixer pot because it becomes all yellow and doesn't even, the lid looks really, yellow and not really nice to look at. So I follow that tip even till today. Okay, so now I've taken a pan and I'm just going to heat my pan up, and now I'm going to add 3/4 cup of oil. Now because this is a pickle and we want the shelf life to be longer, so we're going to add a little extra oil, and also when there's not going to be a drop of water in this recipe. That's why I said when you're washing your dried chilies, ensure that you wipe them completely dry before adding them to the mixer pot. So once my oil is nice and hot, I'm going to add the onions and I'm going to fry the onions really, really well. So take your time with this recipe. See that the onions are nicely fried and they should, turn into a translucent color, or they should turn translucent rather. So just fry them for about a whole minute or so till they start to look like this. Now once the onions are done, we're going to throw in the chilies and split the chilies up. That way the flavor of the chilies, it enhances the flavor, and you actually get the flavor of the chilies in this balcha, which is very important. So slit the chilies, break them up into half, and then fry the chilies also very well. So now I'm going to add my fresh curry leaves. Fry the curry leaves. Like I said, the curry leaves are completely optional, but I love adding them because they really just elevate the taste of this dish. So you can add them or you can skip it. It's all your choice. But I like the flavor of these curry leaves in this balcha, and my mom's recipe says to add it, so I am going to add it. So now I'm going to add my ground paste. Like you can see, it's a thick paste. There's no water. It's not watery. There's not extra vinegar because we don't want it to be very sour. So 6 teaspoons is just enough. And now the most important part is to fry the masala or the paste that we ground really, really well. So you'll get this beautiful dark red color. Now we're going to add salt to taste. Always go with a little less salt initially and then add it later. So now I'm going to add the sugar because we've added vinegar. So, sugar kind of balances the taste of the dish. And now before you add the prawns, just taste this. Take a little bit of it and let it cool down, and then taste it to see whether you need to add any more salt, whether you need to add more sugar, vinegar. So do a taste test, and only after that you add the prawns. Now mix the prawns in well. Be gentle so that they don't break, but ensure that the prawns are nicely cooked in this masala. So, continuously stir and let the prawns get nicely cooked. You cannot have raw prawns in this, so cook it very well. And of course, the heat of the masala will cook the prawns. Prawns don't take a lot of time to cook. So just keep stirring for about 2 to 3 minutes and fry everything really, really well. So this bal chow, for those of you who don't know what bal chow is, it's a pickle made with prawns and this masala paste. And it's just like any other pickle, you can store it in a nice clean jar like I'll show you. and it has a very long shelf life. So now I'm just checking to see whether the prawn is done, and it is done. So now all we have to do is just cook it or uncovered for another 5 minutes. So this is a pickle kind of a dish, a balcha, a spicy pickle, and it really goes well with any meal. And especially in the monsoons, when fish is not that easily available, people used to make this, especially in the olden days, and keep it as so they have some kind of fish available to eat at the house. Same with dried fish, etc. So our prawn balcha is ready. Now let it cool completely, and you have to have the oil element because that is a preservative, and it keeps the shelf life longer. You don't need to refrigerate it immediately. Maybe after a day or two you can put it in your refrigerator. So I put it in a clean dry jar, and always ensure that the oil is always above the rest of the the whole balcha. And yeah, that's it. So now for those of you who want to see how to devein prawns, so here I got about, I don't know, maybe half a kilo of prawns. I used it to make some prawn pulao, and we made some prawn curry, Goan prawn curry. All recipes are there on my channel. I'll leave the links below. So now what you do is you wash the prawn. Now you take a very sharp knife and you just cut it at the back of the prawn like this completely. And then you will see that there's a kind of a vein which has, it's basically the intestine of the prawn. And that is very important that you take it all out. So, all the black stuff, sometimes it comes out in parts. Sometimes you can pull out the whole thread, as you'll see, and then wash it really well, after you cut it up, and keep it on a dry plate. That's what I just did. I got a plate just behind my camera stand and I'm putting it over there. So take a sharp knife, cut it all the way through, right up to the end, and then just pull out that vein. So sometimes you'll see it comes all together into one shot, or sometimes it just breaks up. So you ensure that the entire thing is removed. But it's very important that you devein prawns and wash prawns really well before you use them for any recipe. Otherwise, you'll end up with a very bad tummy ache and other fiascos. So better to be safe and always do this. So take your time, with the prawns, and clean them really, really well. Also, when you're buying prawns, when the prawns are really nice and fresh, you will not get any bad odor from the prawns. Plus, they should be nice and firm. They shouldn't look limpy. They should be very, very firm. So, you have to take into account all these things when you're buying prawns. They don't have any kind of stench. They should be really fresh, and they should look nice and fresh and firm. So some of them did come out in one shot, like one entire vein or intestine came out together, or sometimes they came out in parts. But the main thing is, ensure that they are all nice and clean. So that day we had this lovely prawn bal chow. Then I made sorak. Then we had surmai fry, which is my favorite, and some lovely rice. So it was a real good meal. So I thought I'd share this prawn bal chow recipe with you, so you can make it. Okay, so here you can see that it almost came out in one go. And then just wash it under running water and keep it aside in a dry plate. And then after that, ensure that all the water of the prawns come away. So always keep your plate in which you keep the prawns on a little slant so that all the water goes away. So friends, let's start with today's interesting recipe of garlic pickle. Now here I've taken about 40 medium-sized cloves of garlic. Now some ginger, or about an inch of ginger that I've peeled and chopped very fine. Half a tablespoon of methi seeds of fenugreek. 3/4 tablespoon of mustard seeds. 3/4 tablespoon of fennel or soft seeds. Half a tablespoon of cumin or jeera. 3/4 tablespoon of hinga or asafoetida. 3/4 tablespoon of chili powder as well as Kashmiri chili powder, and 1/4 tablespoon of turmeric. This is about half a cup of tamarind juice, some salt to taste, and 3/4 tablespoon of jaggery or gur. So now I've heated a pan and I'm going to dry roast all these spices. That is the methi seeds, the cumin seeds, the sauf or fennel seeds, and the mustard seeds. So we are going to saute this roast it rather really well till you get the aroma of the spices. Then you're going to let it cool to room temperature and then grind it to a very fine powder in your mixer. Now you can make this in advance and store it, and whenever you feel like making this garlic pickle, you can just make the pickle. So this is the powder. Has to be of a very fine consistency. If you find that the spices are not ground, then grind them again till they are really, really fine. So now I've heated about 4 tablespoons of oil in a pan, and I'm just adding a little bit of mustard seeds and then about say a quarter teaspoon or half a teaspoon, and once they start to splutter, then we're going to add our garlic. Now we need to fry this garlic really, really well till they start to become a little light golden brown in color. Now I know the oil is extra, but then this is like a preservative. The oil helps to keep the pickle for a longer period. And when you're, taking the pickle, just take the garlic and the masala part. Don't take the oil. But you need to use a little more oil for pickles than that we normally use for cooking. So now fry the garlic really, really well. It should take you about say 3 or 4 minutes till your garlic gets nice and fried on a low to medium flame. Now we're going to add the ginger. And this ginger also adds a lovely flavor to this pickle. Fry both of this really, really well. Next, we're going to add our asafoetida or hing. Then goes in the haldi powder. Mix everything again. Next, we're going to add our red chili powder. Now, you can adjust the red chili powder. If you don't want it very spicy, then you can reduce the amount of chili powder. If you want it more spicy, you can double the amount of chili powder. Now, I'm going to add this Kashmiri chili powder, which is just for the color. So one is for the spice and one is for the color, because we want this lovely rich color to our pickle. So fry this well for about another 3 or 4 minutes on a medium flame. Now we're going to add this spice mix that we ground and kept. And the minute you add this spice mix, the your entire home will have this beautiful aroma of all these beautiful spices. Now we're going to add our tamarind juice. All I did was take a lime-sized ball of tamarind and put it in some warm water and keep it for about 15 minutes and then just squeeze out the pulp and just use the juice. The minute you add this tamarind, you will see that the pickle starts to become very thick. Now we're going to add the jaggery. Now same with the jaggery as the chili powder, you can adjust it according to your taste. Now some salt to taste. So what you have to adjust to taste is your salt, your jaggery and your chili powder. So if you want it more on the sweeter side, then you will have to add a little more of your jaggery. If you want it more on the sour side, a little more of the tamarind juice. And if you want it more spicy, then the chili powder. Now we're going to let it cook for about 2 minutes and we're going to lower the flame. We're going to turn off the flame and let this completely cool to room temperature. Once it has completely cooled, we're going to store this in a clean and dry glass bottle which has a nice airtight lid. And that's it, friends. Your lovely, amazing garlic pickle is all ready.
So friends, let's see today's lovely Goan mixed vegetable pickle recipe. So here I've taken 2 carrots, I've peeled them and diced them into these small little cubes. Then I've taken 1 inch of ginger, chopped it fine, 6 large cloves of garlic, chopped fine, 4 green chilies chopped into small pieces, 1 cup of cauliflower chopped into these small florets, 10 French beans chopped into small pieces. So I'm going to use all of these ingredients for our pickle today. Now I'm going to transfer all of this to a large mixing bowl. I'm going to add 4 teaspoons of salt. Mix it really well so that all the vegetables are coated with the salt. And now I'm going to cover and set this aside for 2 to 3 hours. After 2-3 hours, you will see that there's some water. Discard that water through a sieve or a strainer. And transfer the vegetables also. Put a weight on it, put a lid on the vegetables like this, and then put a weight on it and let all the water of the vegetables come out. So it might take about 7 hours. And then I'm just going to place it on a towel like this and let it dry for 4 to 5 hours. Keep changing the position. And then I'm going to place it in some sunlight for about 7 to 8 hours. Now I'm going to dry roast 2 tablespoons of mustard seeds. So all I've done is I've just taken 2 tablespoons of regular mustard seeds, dry roasted them on a low to medium flame. And I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of jeera or cumin seeds. Next, I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of methi or fenugreek seeds, 2 teaspoons of dhania seeds or coriander seeds. We are dry roasting it, there's no oil in this. 1 teaspoon of ova or ajwain, 10 peppercorns. So basically we're making the masala for the pickle at home, the pickle powder. 2 tablespoons of fennel seeds or sauf. So we're going to roast all of this for at least half a minute. Turn off the heat and let the mixture completely cool. Then you're going to grind it in a very dry mixer jar. So the mixer jar is completely dry. Transfer all these spices and grind it to a very fine powder. So this is how the powder should look, super fine. Transfer this to a bowl. Use a very dry spoon. There should be no moisture in this pickle at all. That will increase the shelf life. Now we're going to add 2 teaspoons of turmeric powder and 2 teaspoons of Kashmiri red chili powder to give it this beautiful bright red color, and 1 teaspoon of regular red chili powder. Now mix everything together and you have your pickle masala all ready. So you can make this ahead of time and keep it to use for the recipe. Now I'm going to heat 1 cup of oil till it starts to smoke. Now all pickles require oil because oil acts as a preservative. So we're going to let this smoke completely. So on a low to medium flame, keep an eye on the oil. And then after that, we're going to let this oil come to room temperature. Now my vegetables are nicely sun-dried and all the moisture has come out of the vegetables. I'm going to transfer it to a dish. Now I'm going to add just 1 teaspoon of salt and I'm going to add this powder masala that I've prepared. Mix it in really well. And now we're going to add this room temperature oil. Don't put the hot oil. Let the oil come to room temperature. Add the oil and mix it in really well. Now you can give it a taste. If you want to add more salt, you can add a little more salt. And now set this aside for 7 to 8 hours. And our pickle is ready. The longer you keep it, the better it tastes. So give this recipe a try.
About 250 grams of 5 large tomatoes cut into small cubes. This is half a cup of ginger garlic paste. This is 2 tablespoons of udid dal, 4 tablespoons of Kashmiri red chili powder, 2 tablespoons of tamarind paste, quarter teaspoon of mustard seeds, quarter teaspoon of turmeric powder, quarter teaspoon of asafoetida or hing, 1 tablespoon of gur and some salt to taste. Now here I've heated about 4 to 5 tablespoons of oil. Once your oil is heated up, you're going to add your mustard seeds, your asafoetida, as well as your haldi powder. Now once this is done, we're going to add the udid dal and we're going to add our ginger garlic paste. We have to fry this paste really well. So once you get the aroma of the ginger and the garlic, you know that it's fried very well. And now we're just going to add up our chopped up tomatoes. We don't want them very small, cubed very small, just medium sized cubes. We're going to give all of this a nice good mix. And then we're going to cover and cook this till it becomes nice and soft and the tomatoes are nice and soft and mushy. We have to keep stirring in between so that it doesn't get burnt at the bottom. So this should take you about 5 to 7 minutes for the tomatoes to actually get nicely cooked. Now once the tomatoes have completely cooked, we're just going to give it one more mix. And now we're going to add in our salt to taste. Give that a good mix once you've added the salt. Next, we're going to add the jaggery or the gur, and you can give it, add as per your taste. Next, we're going to add the Kashmiri red chili powder for the nice color. And again, we're going to cook it for just about a minute. Once that is done, we're going to turn off the heat and we're going to add the tamarind pulp or the tamarind juice. Now, all I've done is just taken about 1 tablespoon of tamarind and soaked it in some hot water for about half an hour. Now, once our pickle is completely cooled, we're going to transfer it to a clean, dry glass jar and store it in a nice dark place. And this pickle can be had instantly. You don't have to wait for this pickle like other pickles, You can just have it immediately. It tastes simply delicious and you're going to love it. Stick around to hear the important point.